Direct from Citizen Kelly Tower in Chicago, it's the Citizen Kelly Show with William J. Kelly. And now, the king of controversy himself, Citizen Kelly.
Welcome, my fellow citizens. I'm Citizen Kelly. Happy, thankful, full of love and enthusiasm. We have an historic show tonight, okay? Someday you will be able to tell your grandchildren that you heard Citizen Kelly, okay? And if you already have grandchildren, then hey, just tell them now, okay? Don't wait. Do you know what I mean?
I do indeed.
G-Law, thank you for being here.
Oh, you're welcome.
We have a great guest tonight, a great guest host. It's a new tradition, a new Citizen Kelly tradition. Once a week, we will have a celebrity in studio. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
And I also have to say, we are keeping the Citizen Kelly tradition of keeping our Christmas ornaments at Citizen Kelly Tower. We keep them up for weeks. We're going to keep them up. You know what? This is the new tradition. We're going to keep the Citizen Kelly Christmas tree ornaments up for at least 6 months. Okay? We're going to do it.
I'll make it festive.
We're going to make it festive. It breaks my heart to take the Christmas tree ornaments down. So we're going to keep them up for at least 6 months.
Right.
Well, heck. I mean, if we're going to keep them up for 6 months, we might as well just keep them up all year. You know what I mean?
I do.
And then that way we don't have to put them back up again. So do you like it? Do you like what we have going on here, G-Law?
I love it.
I love it too. I absolutely do. And thank you so much for being here, my hero, my attorney. I don't go anywhere without my attorney. You know, if 2018 taught us anything, don't go anywhere without an attorney, right? If Mike Flynn taught us anything, don't go anywhere without an attorney. I don't do a radio show without an attorney, right?
You don't.
And tonight we have two attorneys. My two favorite attorneys, G-Law. You'll never see a commercial for G-Law, right? You'll never see 1-800-G-Law. You know why? Because you only have one client, and that's Citizen Kelly. But when even you, G-Law, needs help, we have Joel Brodsky to call, right?
Thank God.
Joel Brodsky, when it's really bad. And this is kind of sad in a way. You know, it's kind of like good news, bad news, right? Joel is a friend of ours, but we only call him when it's really bad. You know what I mean?
When you're in big trouble.
When you're in big trouble, you call Joel Brodsky. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So if you got to call me, you got problems.
Yeah, exactly right. We got to call Joel more often. We got to bring Joel out to the Berghoff and have a few of those. What do they call that? The Weiss beer in those liter.
Those are good.
Oh my God!
On an empty stomach, especially.
Yeah, after the show, we got to go. Joel, thank you for being here today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
My hero. And you know what? And this is something, G-Law, and I want to say this right now. Okay. What was that? The New York Times, the New York Post? Who?
It was the New York Post.
The New York Post wrote a big, commentary about yours truly, Citizen Kelly, right?
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes, indeed.
And they made me out to be some kind of a hero. And I just want to say something right now, especially to the younger, the youngsters, right? Citizen Kelly is not a hero, okay? I'm human. I stumble. I fall, right? You know this. You see it every day. I get back up again, and then I stumble again. I stumble around, I fall. It's a vicious cycle. Stumble, fall, get up, stumble around, fall down, get up, stumble some more, right?
Yes.
But thankfully, you are there to help me get back up again, right? My radio family is here to help me get back up again, right? And Joel is here, right?
To make sure nobody keeps you down.
Exactly. Thank you. You see, Joel gets me. Mm-hmm. Joel understands. I'm not so sure about you, G-Law, but Joel gets it, okay? The fact of the matter is that, and this is all I want to say, okay, to our fans, our friends around the world. It doesn't matter how many times you fall down. If you are willing to get back up again, then you are a hero, okay? And so that is, I think, the lesson of 2018, 2017, 2016, 2015, 2014. Oh, my God. I could go on. But we have a new year. It's a brand new year. And we have, I think, an historic show today, G-Law. okay?
I agree with you.
We are going to talk about the mayor's race in the city of Chicago, right? And once again, we have called it. We have absolutely nailed it. The issue of this mayor's race, and it's horrible. It's horrifying. I hate to talk about it, okay? But we have to, and that's why the Citizen Kelly Show is so important, because we talk about the issues that the media is afraid to talk about. The Chicago public school rape and sex abuse scandal. Over 500 credible cases, right? The media in Chicago won't talk about it. When I was exploring a possible run for mayor, I went on Chicago Tonight. I brought it up, and they cut me off. We have the video to prove it, right? I believe it's the reason why Rahm is not running for re-election. The one thing he has done that I agree with, you know what I mean? He decided not to run for re-election. And so we're going to talk about that mayor's race. There's a lot to talk about there. We're going to talk about, obviously, Dick Durbin. You know, and you know what? Just to show that I have an open mind. Dick Durbin recently said something that I agree with. He said that toxic politics is why good people do not go into public service, which is exactly why we ended up with Dick Durbin, right? So, but yeah, Dick Durbin says he's running for re-election in 2020, which makes me think that maybe he's not, you know? Because when he says he's going to do something, then maybe I think that maybe that means he's not going to do it. And you know why I think that? Because he said on that Sunday morning news show, he said, "I'm going to raise money and lose weight." And you know what? I've been paying attention to politics, and let me just say this: he hasn't lost weight. He hasn't lost a single pound. That man is a liar. That man is a liar. Do you know what I mean?
I do indeed.
Oh my God, we've got so much to talk about. It's going to be an absolutely historic show, you know, and we understand and we appreciate history. Thomas Edison and his light bulb, right? The Wright brothers and their airplane, George Eastman and his camera, the Citizen Kelly media empire. We understand what it takes to make history, okay? We were all put on this planet for a reason, and if your mind can conceive it, you can achieve it. I truly believe that. You have to believe it in your heart and just ask the universe to help you. And that is what the Citizen Kelly media empire is all about, really. Okay, you know, there's exciting news. President Trump has definitely made it okay to say Happy New Year again. He said that it's okay to do it. And Joel,
well, if he says it's okay.
Joel Brodsky, everybody. Joel, by the way, it's totally okay to disagree with me. In fact, it's called good radio, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
I disagree with most people, so that's, you know.
There you go. There you go.
That's public record.
Exactly right. But do we have any clips in this segment? There are no clips, but we do have jokes and headlines. It's just a little difficult to tell the difference between the jokes and the headlines. Do you know what I mean?
Well, why don't you
the truth?
Why don't you run some headlines past Joel and see what he thinks of them?
Okay. All right. So anyway, 100 immigrants have been released in Texas.
I think it's 1,000.
1,000.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Is there any way we can make the text bigger on that screen? Let me tell
Here,
you.
you can borrow my glasses.
No. But anyway, the good news is that that's 1,000 more Democrat voters. That's good news for the Democrats. I don't know. You know, good thing that they weren't released before the election. Otherwise, we'd have a U.S. Senator Beto O'Rourke. You know, Beto? Did you hear about this guy? Beto? Joel, you've heard about Beto?
Yeah.
This guy running around calling himself Beto, he's a fourth-generation Irishman. That's right. He's not Mexican at all. In fact, his name is William Joseph Francis Kelly O'Rourke. It's outrageous.
Sounds like a judicial cabinet in Chicago.
Outrageous. Which makes me think that maybe I should change my name to Guillermo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Guillermo Kelly.
Guillermo. It just might be. You might just see Guillermo Kelly on the ballot in 2020. You know, that might just be that. Gila, write that down. Okay, we have to make an official name change. But
it's like that judge that was sentenced in Chicago. I mean, the judge that was just sentenced last week, Judge O'Brien, who's Filipino. how did she get the last name O'Brien?
Right.
Go figure that out.
There you go.
I mean, you can be elected a judge in Chicago if you have an Irish last name. That's all it takes.
Are you sure? I mean, is that still the rule?
I should name myself Brodsky. I'd get elected the next tomorrow.
Well, you know what? If that's still the case, then there might be hope for me yet. You know what I mean?
I'll give you a gavel, okay?
There you
we're in trouble then.
There you go. No, I would follow the rules, the letter of the law, all the way. That's me. You know what I mean? That's me. Cross the T's, dot the I's. I am a detail guy. You know what I mean? I'm the kind of guy. You know, it's like all facts, all figures. I'm like a math guy. You know me, G-Law.
All details.
It's all the details.
That's the perfect judge.
Exactly.
Predictable.
Right. Exactly right. And if you have the law on your side, then what do you have to fear, right?
If that was only true.
Exactly right. Exactly right. But anyway,
1,000 immigrants.
Exactly right.
And on this side of the border.
On this side of the border.
On the U.S. side of the border. So I guess they're not immigrants anymore. They're resident aliens.
There you go.
Yeah.
Resident aliens.
Yeah.
I also heard another statistic that the crime rate in Venezuela is going down.
Nobody's left.
Exactly right. Yeah, they're all here now. So so good news Venezuela, bad news Chicago. You know what I mean? And the problem is that now that they're here in Chicago, I think that they're going to have they might run into some trouble because they're legalizing pot in Illinois now. So whatever jobs they thought they were going to have now. They're going to have competition with the with the legal. I guess they call it cannabis now, right?
Yeah. But nobody knows how to roll like Venezuelan.
There you go.
They can roll. They can do hand rolled. Used to be cigars. Now joints.
There you go. Exactly right.
I mean, so they can find employment. Well,
let me just say that once again, that was believe it or not, that was a headline. That was not a joke. You know what I mean? There are other headlines, so that we're going to test Joel's knowledge of headlines versus jokes. Local volunteers in Indonesia are helping the tsunami victims, right?
Okay. And
And they're saying that they want you to donate directly to the Red Cross and not to the Clinton Foundation. Not the Clinton Foundation. Headline or joke?
Headline.
That's a headline. Joel, you're good at this.
Because
it almost sounded like a joke.
Because they don't want to give any more money to Hillary and to his daughter.
Exactly right. All of those donations to the Clinton Foundation.
75% goes to what? I don't know if that's the right percentage, but a large percentage goes to administrative costs.
Administrative.
Which is the Clintons.
Exactly right. So here they are running around saying that they're helping the people of, Venezuela or Haiti or wherever. And actually, they're only helping themselves. It's sad. I almost wish it was a joke because then we'd be laughing instead of feeling sad. You know what I mean? But all right. So here we go. Another one. There's another one right here. It says Dick Durbin. I already I guess you could say previewed this. I already kind of foreshadowed this a little bit. Dick Durbin says that he is running for re-election in 2020. Headline or joke, Joel?
Headline.
That is a headline. He said that. But do you think that he's actually running in 2020? He's like 70-something years old.
Well, 70 is the new 90 or so.
Right.
Or the other way around, 90s. It's certainly a lot of people his age can running, and they're in politics.
Sure.
They're active. They're in business. So the age isn't the issue. It's why do we need them?
Exactly. Yeah. Some people, might say, well, why run when you can retire and enjoy the rest of your life?
Yeah.
But honestly, what could possibly be, how could Dick Durbin possibly be treated like a king on earth better than if he was a U.S. senator?
I mean, this is the whole idea with term limits, right? Why, if you can keep running and running and running and you get seniority, you can't be beat. You might as well be appointed. Might as well have royalty. Might as well have people appointed.
There you go.
We don't need elections.
You got it. Well, we will. Joel Brodsky is here today. G-Law. We have a new year. We have a new show, and we are making history. We'll be back with more Citizen Kelly after this. Welcome back to the Citizen Kelly Show, my fellow citizens. I'm Citizen Kelly. Happy, thankful, full of love and enthusiasm. We made it through another year.
We did. I don't know how we did it.
Barely. Oh, man. G-Law, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, we absolutely made it through another year.
Yeah, so without getting held in contempt of court.
Exactly right.
That's
And Joel Brodsky is here, and we are talking the Chicago's mayor's race for 2019. That is the story, in my opinion. I was born and raised on the south side of Chicago. For me, being mayor is the most important job in the world, more important than being president of the United States, okay? Chicago, growing up, I believe that Chicago was the greatest city in the world, right? And what really started to make that turn a little ugly for me, okay, was Rahm. That man is pure evil. But thankfully, G-Law, we ran Rahm out of the race. Do you know what I mean?
I think we did.
I don't know if the history books will record it. You know what I mean? It's like the ancient texts. You know what I mean? The English, they wrote all about, King Arthur. They didn't write anything about the Ragnar or any of these other Vikings or Danes or anyone else because they were the ones who knew how to write. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But you know what? We will write that history, G-Law. We will write that history.
No, I might end up having to do it.
You're going to have to do it.
Copyright.
Exactly right.
And if I helped in any way run him out of office, I'm very happy to have done it.
Exactly right. I
took his deposition in that Riamo case, and that was
in the Riamo case. Yeah. Exactly right.
I took his deposition, and what else? I'm sorry. Okay, he wasn't that.
You are on the radio.
Yeah. I have to be, and especially now because I could,
You're not
people
under
are
oath.
Listening.
Exactly.
The authorities. So I have to be calm, and I can't use accusatory words. But I would say that he was less than forthcoming. Let's put it that way.
He was less than forthcoming. Yeah. I think that there was a cumulative effect, G-Law. I think that obviously our term limit referendum. The term limit Rahm referendum, I think that played a role. I think that Joel Brodsky's putting the mayor under oath in the Riamo case,
forcing the issue out into the public.
Right. Yeah. I think that our reporting on the Chicago Public School rape and sex abuse scandal.
Yeah, and we're not done yet.
And we are not done on that yet because, in my opinion, Rahm not running for re-election is not good enough. You tell me what could we possibly hope for? What would be the best case scenario in terms of Rahm's cover-up of the Chicago Public School rape and sex abuse scandal?
He doesn't find another job.
He doesn't find. Well, no. That ain't gonna work because trust me, he will. I mean, he's not gonna have any trouble finding another job on Wall Street.
The cable job. He's gonna his
brother
Ari will hook him up.
Yeah. Exactly right. Exactly right.
Using the money that they took off of these Uber stock, that they made a fortune on.
There you go.
By screwing over all the cab drivers. I can say screwing over, can
I? I believe
I hope so. By screwing over all the cab drivers who invested in their medallions and now lost all their life savings. So his brother's investment in Uber stock can go through the roof. And
sure.
Yeah. Now he's going to get his cut through this deal with CNN, and it's just
So has that deal already been cut with CNN?
I think he's talked about. I know he's talked about it, taking that job with CNN as a on-air show, after the election.
Yeah, because I have already seen Rahm on CNN.
Yeah,
see, that's the thing.
Times.
That's the funny thing. The only thing that Rahm is missing is somebody who can actually give him some good advice. Because honestly, the only way that people will miss Rahm is if he goes away for some period of time. You know what I mean? But the fact that he's not even out of office yet, and he's already on the victory tour on CNN with David Axelrod.
The victory lap with David Axelrod.
Exactly right. Rahm, I shouldn't give this guy any advice. I'm like the Forrest Gump of like Chicago politics. I give people advice, they become, successful. You know what I mean? But here's the bottom line. What Rahm should really do if he really wants to come back in 2020, which is, by the way, I don't know anything. I'm just going to say it right now. Citizen Kelly doesn't know anything, but yet I've never been wrong. Explain that. It's supernatural. It's like my colleague Socrates. You know what I mean? I don't know anything, but yet I've never been wrong. Can I tell you what my theory is, Joel? And I want to get your opinion on this. I believe that Rahm will run for the U.S. Senate. Well, in Illinois in 2020. Dick Durbin said he's going to run for re-election. You know what that tells me? He's not going to run for re-election.
He's a placeholder. He's holding the place, yeah.
He's holding that place, and at the right moment, he's going to drop out of the race, and then you're going to have Rahm Emanuel running for the U.S. Senate in 2020.
That's an old Ed Verdoliak trick.
It's an old Ed Verdoliak trick?
Yeah, with judicial races.
Boy.
They used to have guys that would hold the spot and then drop out, and somebody'd file in the last second and be the only candidate. That's an old trick, yeah.
Exactly right.
Sounds like what it'll do.
Oh, boy. We've got somebody in the studio who knows the history. Okay. And speaking of Ed Verdoliak, I remember he had a radio show on WLS.
Right.
And one of the funniest things I've ever heard on the radio, because it was so true, was at the very, very beginning, the very first day that Ed Verdoliak and Ty Wansley started doing their radio show, Ty Wansley said, this is such a huge radio opportunity because Ed Verdoliak has the best stories in the history of Chicago politics. And Ed Verdoliak, in his style, said, yeah, but unfortunately I can't tell any of them.
At least not with a grant of immunity first.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
You got to check into that statute of limitations. You got to check into that, who's still under.
He's got to have his tick list of what he can say and what he can't.
Exactly right. But Ed Verdoliak, now he's still on the hook. They're still trying to indict him or
He got in. He was charged. I know he was sentenced once. I think he was indicted a second time. I'm not sure. Right. He's down in Florida, living on some island, Sarasota.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he's retired down there.
Oh, so that explains why I never see Eddie sitting out at at Gibson's on a summer afternoon.
He's down there. Retired, sitting back on the beach on his bike. He's got to be over 85 now.
Well, then he's still smarter than all of us,
obviously. And he's no dummy. If Ed Verdoliak and Eddie Burke did a real estate deal, it'd take 24 accountants to figure out who screwed who.
Right.
It's those guys know what they're doing.
Accountants.
Yeah, accountants and lawyers.
Okay, well, good for Ed. That joke could have been far more graphic. So thank you for cleaning it up for radio. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
But at any rate, when I was a kid, growing up in the 19th Ward, my first job, I think it was like maybe, after like cutting lawns or something like this, was caddying at the Beverly Country Club.
Okay.
So one of my earliest memories as a kid was seeing Ed Verdoliak pull up in his black Cadillac, getting out, popping the hood, and I'd take his bag out of the trunk, and there would be a rifle, in the trunk. That's old school. You know what I mean? That's old school. Like a rifle, a baseball bat. And I don't think he was. Well, I don't know. Maybe he was. Maybe he did have a softball team or something. I'm sure he did. But I'm sure that
a 16-inch team too.
Yeah, there you go.
But his house back in his ward, it took up a whole square block because he had condemned the alley.
Right.
So he could could have a bigger lot.
Sure.
Nobody else could do it, but he did.
Sure.
It was he had some politics back then, the 10th Ward.
Exactly.
Avenue L or Avenue M, all southeast side.
Yeah, and he was old school. And the one thing that one of the many things that I do respect about the old school politicians was that, first of all, they would give you their phone number. Yeah. And when you called them,
they would respond.
They would call you. They would answer on the first ring.
No, it was personal politics. If they needed my first wife's mother, her husband died. It was a heart attack when she was young. And Ed Verdoliak got her a job with the school district close by, so she could earn money and be home for the kids when they came home for lunch and things. But this is old school politics. Now she, in return, would deliver votes.
Right.
That's the machine. Those days are over. There was a certain. I don't know. It worked.
It worked. Exactly right. The city that worked.
Right or wrong.
Chicago. The city that worked. That was the.
But it only
motto.
works at a small level. It only works at the ward or ward level. You can't do that. Nationally, because there is corruption. Yeah. There's corruption,
and that is the concern that it only worked for certain people. It didn't work for everybody.
Yeah, right.
Now the question is, and I could go on about the old Ed Verdoliak stories, but let's bring it to the 2019 mayor's race.
Okay.
Let's roll the Preckwinkle clip because she's the front runner in the 2019 mayor's race.
Amazingly enough.
Would you keep Eddie Johnson and Janice Jackson?
I've publicly said that I would not keep Superintendent Johnson.
Why not?
I think that we need stronger leadership in the police department, and I'm concerned that he testified in court that there was no such thing as a code of silence in the police department.
So he needs to go. Is he part of that code of silence? Is he? I mean, what did that say about him?
He refused to acknowledge that there was a code of silence in the police department.
And that tells you what?
I don't think that's an honest statement.
So how would you characterize his tenure? Is he just a go along, get along, likable guy, or what's wrong with his tenure? And the mayor reached down and got him. He didn't even apply. How do you feel that how he's done?
I think it's very important that police be accountable for their conduct. And if you won't even acknowledge that there's a code of silence in the police department, how can you possibly do that?
Okay, so did I miss the part where she talked about Janice Jackson at the Chicago Public Schools?
It was at the top of the clip where Fran Spielman wanted her to comment on both Eddie Johnson and Janice Jackson, and she just would not.
She only spoke. She only said that she would throw Eddie Johnson under the bus, but no comment about Janice Jackson
exactly.
at CPS. And by the way, Joel, this is why I take that a little bit personal. Okay, both my parents were Chicago public school teachers, and I also happen to be Catholic, right? And every single day, I see screaming headlines on the front page of the Sun-Times about some Catholic priest from 1945. You know what I mean? And yet, I don't see any headlines about the 500 credible cases of children being raped and sexually abused in the Chicago public schools, right? And here, Toni Preckwinkle, who portrays herself as a progressive, somebody who cares about the people, right? Certainly, you would think that people at the Chicago public schools who have endorsed her, by the way, right?
Yeah, she's been endorsed by the Chicago Teachers Union.
Right. Yeah. And yet, she hasn't said word one about the rape and sex abuse scandal at Chicago public schools. Do you see what I'm saying? She wants to throw Eddie Johnson under the bus, and maybe rightfully so for his code of silence. But what about the code of silence at the Chicago public schools?
It's amazing that the idea of the sex abuse from teachers. It's
outrageous.
It's unfathomable. You can't understand it. There's no logical reason for it.
Well, first of all, there's no accountability. Rahm, who appointed Janice Jackson and the president of the Chicago Public Schools, his name escapes me at the moment. But first of all, they're both appointed and they're both still there. Rahm hasn't fired either of them, right?
Yeah, and they were both aware of these sex abuse cases because the lawyers for CPS were reporting directly to them.
Absolutely outrageous. And the Chicago Public School Board, they're all appointed by Rahm, and not one of them has lost their job. I mean, this in my opinion, is the scandal of the moment. We can talk about what happened in the Catholic Church in 1945. And by the way, if any child attacked by any priest anywhere should have justice, right? And
no excuse for it.
No excuse for it. But guess what? I spent 4 years in a Catholic seminary. I studied in Rome for a year. I've met. I met Pope John Paul II, Saint Pope John Paul II, by the way, right? I was an altar boy when I was in grammar school. I never once encountered a single priest who attacked a single child, right? But yet, if you were from Mars, right, and you read the Chicago Sun-Times, you would think that Catholic priests were literally attacking children in broad daylight 24/7. And yet, there isn't a single headline in the Chicago Sun-Times about 500 current active cases of rape and sexual abuse in the Chicago public schools.
By the way, just incidentally, in September, 624 new cases have been filed against CPS.
I'm sorry. You know what? I'm just going to say this right now.
The insurance company.
Exactly. There you go. Rahm not running for re-election, not good enough. Until he is held to account for the Chicago Public School rape and sex abuse scandal. And by the way, I also have something that I haven't said publicly. I've got two attorneys in the room here. When we come right back, I'm going to say.
We'll vet it first.
I know. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say what I heard when I was exploring my campaign for mayor of the city of Chicago from when I brought up the issue of Chicago Public School rape and sex abuse when we return.
Everybody sing.
Welcome back to the Citizen Kelly Show, my fellow citizens. I'm Citizen Kelly. Happy, thankful, full of love and enthusiasm, the wisdom of the centuries. Be thankful for what you have, and then the universe will give you more. You see what I'm saying, G-Law?
I see it indeed.
And I am absolutely thankful for you to be here. I'm thankful for my radio family, right, that has the courage to air the Citizen Kelly Show. I'm thankful for Citizen Kelly Tower. You know what I mean? I've become a little bit of a recluse, I have to confess, now that we have essentially everything that we need here at Citizen Kelly Tower. You know what I mean? We have the gym. We have the hot tub on the roof. We do our the Citizen Kelly hot tub parties every Friday night. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Open bar.
I can't. The top shelf open bar. Do you know what I mean? I'm so incredibly thankful, and it's just getting. We're just getting started. We are just getting started. But you know what? Even though things are going so well for the Citizen Kelly media empire, I still have to. I still care about my city, the city of Chicago, right? And we have a mayor's race that I think is rooted in scandal, okay? And we are really the only ones who know where the bodies are buried, literally where the bodies are buried. And I feel like we have a responsibility to my fellow citizens to point out what these scandals are and how they tie and how they can be tied to candidates that are running. Even though Rahm is not running, right? That's good, right? But these scandals can be tied directly back to Pritzker, to Mendoza, right? To Daley, right? To the to all the top candidates. So we have to help our fellow citizens navigate this minefield. And thank God Joel Brodsky is here today. And he's going to lay this one out for us right now. But I'd like to set it up, Joel, if I may,
Sure.
with a clip of you talking about your victory in the Riamo case.
That was a good one.
The Riamo.
Yeah, we got I must not have been talking very loud. Yeah,
There
you
it
barely
is.
hear me. Okay, maybe I'll just.
Alan and Kathy, the jury seemed to reach two conflicting conclusions. LeGrier's estate deserved compensation, and Officer Rialmo, in firing the fatal shots, believed he was in danger. In the end, the judge said both can't be true. Quintonio LeGrier's father said nothing as he left court. The 8-day trial ending with a courtroom stunner.
The city got judgment on a legal technicality. So the verdict was taken away.
The jury awarded LeGrier's estate a little more than $1 million, far short of the $12 to $25 million the family had sought for the 2015 shooting that killed LeGrier and neighbor Betty Jones. LeGrier had a baseball bat, but it was argued that Rialmo, who fired the fatal shots, was not in imminent danger.
When clearly we had proved our case, we proved that this man shot and killed two people unlawfully.
But in answering a question from the judge, the jury on this form said it thought Rialmo reasonably believed that deadly force was necessary to prevent his own death or serious injury. That prompted the judge to erase the award.
If he's justified in using deadly force, there are no damages. And that's simply the law.
It's unclear if the jury knew that. Before the award was voided, the foreman said nothing of the statute.
I don't believe Officer Rialmo is a bad person necessarily. I think he just made a bad decision in the moment.
Was the jury instructed that if they check yes on that the LeGrier estate gets nothing?
Probably not.
Okay, let me just say this. If you ever see Citizen Kelly coming at you with a baseball bat, then chances are you should probably take the shot.
Yeah.
Because that is because anyone, with a baseball bat in their hand, and I have like 3 in the back seat of my car right now, okay? Anyone with a baseball bat in their hand means business.
It's
Make
a
no
deadly
mistake
weapon.
about it.
It's a deadly weapon.
It is a deadly weapon. I remember my dad growing up on the south side of Chicago. He was a man of few words. Okay, the only word that my dad said with any regularity was no. No, you know what I mean?
And
that's all he ever said was no. You know, and that's why. I just wish that he had given a little context. You know what I mean? Like if he had said, "I'm sorry, son, but no, we cannot buy the chocolate milk or whatever it was that I wanted because we don't have money for that." Do you see what I'm saying? Then I would have been fine with that. I just needed a little explanation. You know what I mean? But just no, that leaves a lot of questions. Is it because we don't have money? Is it because you don't like me? What is it? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And then these are the questions that stick with us.
That's what their kids say. And they say, why? And you go, because I said so.
Yeah, exactly. And then these are the questions that stick with us from like childhood right up until like this current moment. And I'll never know the answer. You know what I mean? Now I'll never know. I'll never know. You know what I'm saying? So one of the things that my dad did say to me was he called me over once and he popped the trunk and he said, look, here's a baseball bat. And I said, oh, that's great, Dad. And he goes, yeah, if anyone ever tries to stuff you in the trunk, just grab the baseball bat and hit him in the head.
Hit him in the head.
You know?
Or the knees.
That's my dad. That was like the only advice my dad ever gave me. And then the other advice that my dad used to give me was whenever you buy a new pair of pants, always check to make sure that there isn't a hole in the pocket so you don't lose any money. That was the only other advice. In fact, those are the only two pieces of advice that my dad ever gave me. How weird is that?
Look what it did.
Exactly right.
Look, you followed it, and look at you now.
And to this day, I haven't lost $1, and I am surrounded by baseball bats. You know what I mean? What the hell is going on here? You know what I mean? I just imagine if he'd have said something, if he'd have given me some other advice, like, you know what I mean? Like how to, make friends or something. Just imagine, how much happier.
Don't go into politics.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. If my dad had said, don't go into politics. Yeah. But anyway, so that was my...
That Rialmo verdict was very, that's, that we give them what's called a special interrogatory when you have a wrongful death case. Because juries, it's like, they'll compromise and they'll say, well, we don't think this guy is really, let's just give them a few dollars, which in that case, if the city considered $1 million to be a victory, believe it or not. But you always give it just to make sure that they, that they can't do that, they've decided this issue correctly. And the issue was, the whole issue of the whole trial was, was Rialmo in reasonable fear of death or great bodily harm from LaGreer charging at him with the baseball bat?
Right.
And clearly, they said he was. So, the jury isn't supposed to know the law. The judge administers the law. They determine the facts, and those are the facts that they determine. Why they put that, I have opinions why they put that $1 million down there. There was one, the guy that turned out to be the foreman was a little bit of a character, we found out later, and I think he just wanted to see the family come away with something.
Right.
I mean, they lost his son,
Right.
But clearly, Rialmo, we showed that Rialmo was clearly in and anybody would be. If somebody's less than 10 feet away from you, charging at you with a baseball bat over their head, you're pretty much in fear of bodily harm.
Right. I mean, here's the bottom line. And I'm sure you probably brought this up in the case, in the courtroom, okay? Was he on his way to batting practice?
At 4:30 in the morning?
At 4:30 in the morning?
I doubt it.
No. You know what I mean? For example, if you're like... if a police officer shoots a little kid on his way to batting practice, and he says, well, this kid had a baseball bat in his hand. Okay, well, that clearly was police misconduct. That was a bad call on the part of the police officer. You just shot a little kid on his way to the batting cages, for crying out loud. But if it's 4:00 in the morning and somebody's charging at you with a baseball bat, chances are they want to take a few practice swings at your head.
Right.
At your head!
Yeah, you have to remember, LaGreer's own father had barricaded himself in his bedroom with a 2x4 when he called the police. So, this kid was on a rampage. Right. Now, the reason he was on a rampage, if you know all the background about that he was taken away from his mother when he was 4 years old because she didn't want him anymore and had actually been burning him with cigarettes, and it was horrible.
I don't understand that.
So then he was doing pretty good until he got to be 18 with his foster parents.
Okay.
And then when he turned 18, his mother re-entered his life, and he just went downhill. Now she's the grieving, mother on TV, when in fact, when you look at all the real facts that the jury wasn't able to hear about the mental health background of this kid, it's her fault. You know what Rialmo's last word, LaGreer's last word to his mother were when she dropped him off the night before or the day before this happened. She looked at him and said, "You're going to remember this day." Oh. So I personally think that this was what they call suicide by cop. He wanted to die. That's why he called for the police, but he didn't say, he said, send the police. He'd been working himself up, and he got to the point where he finally called for the police. He wanted to die.
This is the kind of thing that I should not say on the radio or anywhere else, but especially on the radio, okay? Citizen Kelly would have been a great cop in the 1960s, But not today, let me tell you. Not today. I wouldn't last one day on the police force. Do you realize that, G-Law?
I do realize that.
But
I am in full agreement with you.
But I would have been a great cop in 1968. Oh, I would have gotten those hippies. I would have hit those hippies in the head with my nightstick. You know that? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you saw that footage on the 1968 Democrat convention,
and then the Kerner report afterwards about the police riot. That was good
But
time.
by the way,
good times.
I would have been great. I would have hit so many hippies in the head. I would have been elected sheriff, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? There'd be a Citizen Kelly courthouse named after me. I would have hit so many hippies in the head.
You would be up for Eddie Johnson's job.
There you go. Exactly right.
Yeah, and I don't know what Perwinkle's saying when he said that Johnson said denied that there was a code of silence.
Right.
Because they asked him that at the deposition. That's what he's referring to, and he said that really what he said was, there's nothing that happens with police officers that doesn't happen with any other profession.
Right,
Judges,
exactly right.
lawyers will cover for lawyers, judges will cover for judges, doctors cover for doctors.
The radio code of silence. Am I right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You correct?
Yeah, exactly right. You don't. When you radio host, man cow, I've got your I've got your back, man cow. I will not tell any of your secrets. You see what I'm saying? Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But that's so that's what he was saying. He didn't deny it. He just said it's not strictly to the police department. It's a common thing among professions.
Sure.
So I don't know why she would say or why she's picking on that, other than it's a popular thing to say.
Right.
It resonates with some voters that she wants. But other than that, it's simply not true. It's not what he said.
Right.
Rahm pretty much said the same thing in his dep.
Right.
I don't even know why they asked him, because it was irrelevant to the trial. None of this ever came up at the trial.
Yeah.
But but it was amazing, that whole thing. Rahm micromanaged everything. He actually, when the shooting took place, he was in Cuba, and he was text messaging, controlling the thing from Cuba by text message, the whole beginning of it. And then
really,
it was micromanaged. I think that's really what his start of
Joel,
his downfall.
I think that you having Rahm under oath, I really believe that was one of the major reasons why Rahm did not run for re-election.
Well, I think also it had to do with the fact that he wasn't able to present Rialmo's scalp. He wasn't able to fire him. He wasn't able to do anything because he wasn't able to pay any money to the Greer's family. He wasn't able to get him charged with any criminal offense. The stupid battery that they charged him with, he was found not guilty. Was a joke.
Right.
And he tried to get him fired because of that.
Oh, that's right. They came after him because of some kind of somebody. He was at a restaurant.
Right, a bar. It was around not too far from closing time at a bar, and the guy comes up to him, tries to steal his coat, and then they gang up on him, and one of the kids reached for his throat. So
of course,
gives him a punch in the face.
Right.
It was ridiculous.
That's why we're going to have the Citizen Kelly Fight Club. Okay.
Now we're talking.
Exactly right. CitizenKelly.com. Join the Citizen Kelly Fight Club, the Citizen Kelly Gun Club. Oh, and by the way, I'm so sorry that I haven't mentioned this sooner. And this goes out to all of my radio family, everyone. Go to CitizenKelly.com. Click on the Enzo link. People are always saying, Citizen Kelly, you are such a fashionable dresser. Where do I find your suits, your ties, your pocket squares, your shirts? Enzo, if you make an appointment and you let them know that Citizen Kelly sent you, I will hook you up with a complimentary right now, custom shirt. Okay?
Whoa.
Through January 31st.
All right.
This is going to cost a lot of money, but guess what? I want to give back to my Citizen Kelly family, my fellow citizens. Go to CitizenKelly.com, click on Enzo, and book an appointment. You will get your Citizen Kelly custom-made shirt through January 31st, and we'll be right back with more Citizen Kelly after this.